Ovi was on the list. He came in at number 32, and you guys were off yesterday, and I went public that I didn't have him in my top 50.
Really?
I did not have Alex Ovechkin in my top 50.
Buddy, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's unforgivable.
Let me explain.
I'm just saying.
I understand that. Listen, and this is not being hot takey. It's that.
Let me just get one guy before you say it. Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah, well, Hamilton is on the list. Hamilton, I think, was 41 or 42.
Dougie Hamilton. You've got Dougie Hamilton on your list.
Yes,
and not
I believe
Alex.
I did. Here was my explanation. Is that with scoring being up, I think there were 23 guys who scored 40 last year.
Right.
Scoring 40 is no longer putting you in a category that is, uncharted territory.
Wrong.
Well, okay, you can say that all you want, but I could see Cole Caulfield scoring 40. Is he going to be a top 50 player? No. I could see Alex DeBrincat scoring 40. Is he a top 50 player? I don't think he is. I think Ovi probably scores 40, has 67, 68 points, and he's 38. I think he's going to slow down. I think he already has. And I get it because of who he is, but I think at the end of the year, you'll look back and say there were 50 players that had a bigger impact on the season than Alex Ovechkin. I also don't think they're going to be a very good team. I don't think they're going to prop him up that much.
I think that's the craziest thing you've ever said on this show.
Well,
Alex Ovechkin. He just went from 10 or 11 to off your list.
He was 20
That's
20th last year.
He was 20th last
year. No,
year.
but I'm talking about your list.
Last year I would have had him around 20 probably, in the 20s.
Yeah, so he's just off your list.
He's 38.
And you're putting
What
guys
is he,
like Dougie Hamilton on your list over him.
Yes.
I think it's a crazy thought.
Okay.
Well,
Where was he on your list?
I think I had him in the top 20, 30.
That's absurd. That's more absurd. That having Alex Ovechkin still in the top 20 is more ludicrous than me having him outside the top 50.
Let the fans vote. What's more absurd, Ovi in the top 30 or out of the top 50?
No. You didn't say top 30. You said top 20. You said top 20. If you look up your list, if you had him in the top 20.
How about just this? What's dumber? On the list or off the list?
Yeah, but that's bull. Because again, you could have him at 51, 54. I'm not saying he's the 138th best player in the league. Someone's got to be on the outside looking in. I
got to find out where I had. I'm actually looking
so
now
to see where you don't put into like just his shot, how it's that much better than everyone else's in the league, his one-timer off the post.
His one-timer is, yeah.
You don't take that into account that's a special talent.
That alone, because he scores one-timers, when the guy
you get 45 of them a year.
I don't. How many goals do you think he's going to score this year?
Buddy, I'm not going to argue with you for 3 hours. Ask MJ if he should be a top 50 player, and I'll rest my case. And whatever you do.
Well, I had him on my list too. I did.
Where'd you have him?
I had him pretty high, actually. I had him 23rd.
Thank you very much.
No
look at that. Look at that. This guy
chance.
is just looking for clickbait.
I'm not.
He's looking for clicks.
It's a private list. I chose to reveal it because we were talking yesterday, Frankie and I.
Put it this way: the guy is the greatest goal scorer in the history of the game.
No question.
But this guy has no respect.
But he's 38 noodles. He's not 28
anymore. Dougie Hamilton
I understand.
Why is
that,
Dougie Hamilton the holdup?
I just see him on the list, and I'm like, how could you take Dougie Hamilton?
Number one defenseman on a great team.
I didn't have him on my list, Dougie Hamilton. I didn't. But I did have Ovi high because Ovi does it every year.
I know he does.
And it's impressive.
If he scores 40 goals.
We argue. You guys talk like William Nylander, that this guy scored 40, and then you just said, Hayes, not even 2 minutes ago, well, scoring 40, there was 20.
It's not what it once was. There's 23 guys.
So then Nylander, why is he on the list then, scoring 40?
Well, because I think he had 83 points or
87. He had 87 points.
I mean, that probably accounts for something, does it not?
It does, but I mean, there was a lot of guys who had mid-80 points that maybe they made the list, maybe they didn't.
Maybe they didn't. All right, let's bring him in here. Mike Johnson, our TSN Hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. It's not a legacy list. It's not, as long as you keep playing, you just get to stay on forever because of who you were. Johnny, where did you have Alex Ovechkin on your top 50?
He wasn't on my top 50.
Thank you. Exactly. Mic drop. End of discussion. Explain to these two bozos why that's the right decision.
Well, it's debatable. He's right around it.
Sure.
I think it's important to remember this is supposed to be who are going to be the top 50 players this year coming up.
Exactly.
Right? So And now I've kind of been wrong, kind of expecting him to slow down faster than I thought he has. Like, he's been really pretty good the last few years, but he slowed down a little bit last year. I don't think his team is going to be quite as good. Team is absolutely locked and loaded to sort of help him chase down this goal scoring record. But
right.
I just think that he, as he gets older and the team's not as good, and no doubt he can still shoot it, and he might score 40 again, he might score whatever. But I just think you're talking about top 50, right?
Yeah.
So
what about this
position,
guy saying scoring 40's nothing now?
I never said that. I never.
Said.
No. I said.
What do you think about scoring 40
is not
in the
what
league?
It once was.
Oh, that's just even better, Johnny.
15 years ago,
please respond to that comment.
Well, I mean, okay,
it's not.
I mean, anyone who would say that scoring 40 is nothing, it's wrong.
I never said nothing.
But if you're on to act like scoring 40 last year is the same as it was in 2001,
exactly.
You'd be right. Didn't Rick Nash win the Rocket with 41 one year?
Yes.
Yeah, 41 or 3, I can't remember. Yeah,
41 with Iggy or whatever. Like, I think he tied like two different people, Kovalchuk and Iggy, whatever. So, yes, goals are up. The goals are up from when we played in the deadest of dead puck eras, which is more impressive that you scored as much as you did. Goals are up like 15, 17%. So take your 30. 30 is actually 35 when you add 15% to it, right? Like, it's not the same. Goals are up. More 100-point scorer, more 40-goal scorers, more 50-goal scorers, better power plays. The way the game has gone, the talent of the players, it's more people do it now than did it 20 years ago. That's just a fact.
Just a balanced
I just factored
analysis.
It is.
Thank
Listen,
you.
I can respect the analysis because you're right. Like, you put thought into it. Like, it's everybody's opinion. My whole thing is, I'm going to go back to what Johnny said at the starting, and this is why I factored in. The age, this guy has been ageless. Like, yes, the game is slow. Like, he still scores at a rate like he was 28, 29, in a scenario where that's where I'm like, I expect him to be in the scoring lead, goal scoring lead, not point scoring, goal scoring. And that's what he does best, better than anybody in the history of the game.
Yes.
Ever. So that's why, for me, until he takes that step off the cliff, it could be this year. But I've thought for the last 4 or 5 years, okay, this is the year. Now, last year, I factored in his father passing. It was a weird year for him. Mm-hmm. He missed some games. He had a little bit of an injury. I thought, okay, like, that was his down year, where I think in this year, that whole team is going to be about Ovi scoring because I don't know what else they're going to be. So I could see him getting 40. So in my head, again, I was like, this guy's going to get 40, and we're going to be talking about him chasing Gretzky's record. For me, that's a top 50 player. That was my rationale behind it.
And that's not outlandish by any. Again, let me clarify. I'm not suggesting Ovechkin is number 278 behind Justin Hall. Obviously, he's a great player still.
I don't know what it is. Dougie Hamilton's just
Dougie Hamilton. You got this issue with Dougie Hamilton. I like Douglas Hamilton. He's a good man.
Dude, I like Dougie Hamilton, too. He's a good player. But I think the top 50 players in the league, not having Ovi on it and Dougie Hamilton on there, it's bugging me.
You know what I think is more of an injustice, and that's a heavy word to use when we're talking about a top 50 list, injustice. I think Brad Marchand being behind Ovi is absurd.
Brad Marchand not on that list is insane.
Marchand is on it, but he's 38.
I'll tell you what else is insane.
He should be way higher than
that. That kid in Winnipeg, Kyle Connor at 44 is a joke. That guy's just outside a top 10 player in the league, and
Dougie
you heard
Hamilton.
it here first.
Dougie Hamilton.
Wait,
Dougie Hamilton's got to be
hang
on him.
Hang on.
Dougie Hamilton.
Kyle Connor is not a top 10 player in the league.
No, I said just 20. Outside of it. He's that good of a
I'll give you
player.
top 20. He's not a top 20
He's
player
not
in the league.
top 20.
In fact, he's a lot like Ovi, but better because he's younger at it now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a goal scorer. He's not a particularly great defensive player. He plays on the wing. He does a lot of work on his power play. But he's a great goal scorer. But I don't even know the top 24, let alone defensemen and goaltenders, however you want to mix them in there. Dougie Hamilton.
I think Kyle Connor is better than 44. I love Kyle Connor.
I could have sworn you just said he's outside the top 10, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, he's not just outside.
Wait one second.
Off the top of your head, like where I'm looking at it, I had him at 31.
Connor?
Yeah. Like
I wouldn't
like
be
the
surprised
player
if that guy gets 60 goals this year. I'm not kidding you.
No.
Stop it. Dougie Hamilton's got a better chance at 60.
Dude, I'm not trying to I love Dougie Hamilton. But I'm not doing Dougie Hamilton again today because him on the list and Ovi, insane.
Yeah. Well, listen. Obviously, you've made it very clear. Dougie Hamilton is not in your top 50.
I might have had him. I might have had him.
I had him in the 40s. I think I had Connor in the 40s.
Here's a question for you guys, and I guarantee you the answer is no. But I took a flyer. I put Clayton Keller on there.
Ooh.
49 Noodles.
Did not do that. Did not do that.
I had him at 48.
Yeah.
I had
Alex Tuck at 50.
I had Bedard at 50.
I had
Clayton
Timo
Keller
Meyer
better than
at
Ovi.
50. Yeah. Well, listen, Ovi is still going to score a ton of goals, and he's still going to put up points. Like, there's no disputing that. The guy's he's going to be PP1. He's still a machine. He missed some games last year, I think in large part because his father passed away. He's also like a medical marvel. The guy plays every single night. It's just, he's a big dude. His skating, I don't think, is where it was. I think the team struggling will hurt him, right? And a big part of what made him so great that put him over the top, on top of being the greatest goal scorer of all time, which that alone puts you at the top of the list in perpetuity throughout your career, is the fact that he was so physical. Like, he would run you through the boards. He would have double-digit hit nights in his sleep. And I don't think he's going to do that anymore. Like, I don't think he can. So, just because of his name, like Sid, guess what? Sid's not going to be number one. Sid's not in the top 5 anymore. Is that a injustice? He's still Sid, but you got to be realistic.
I'm just going to tell you guys.
Who he is
I'm
now.
just going to tell you guys from what you guys just said. Sid shouldn't be on your list either. If you're going to
Sid's
talk
still on the list.
Oh, okay.
Sid's
Well,
still high on the list.